Hey, my name is PolishLynx, and here we continue. There's Irae. Ren hopefully is waking up. And so he woke up actually. I couldn't just keep sleeping like that. That's right. Move your ass and freaking find her immediately, dude. She went to protect me. She fought to steal my chance to shine in the spotlight and resolve everything by herself before I wake up. Yeah, I could definitely sympathize with that idea. Anyone would. I'd have done the same myself. I too had been fine with shedding blood and taking the full brunt of everything, had only if it meant keeping my loved ones out of danger. I thought it was okay if I shouldered everything by myself. It was no spirit of martyrdom or anything that noble, it was just my egotism. I knew that much. I knew it, but I couldn't help it. I mean, anyone had something or someone more important than themselves in their lives. To me, that was Kasumi, and to her, that was me. That was all there was to it. I sat up. I wanted to protect her just as much as she wanted to protect me. The children of Lebensborn had already vanished. They had possessed me back at the amusement park, and I normally shouldn't have awoken until everything had ended. Here I was, awake. Alright. I know this is maybe a weird idea, but how about you somehow acquire a freaking second Achnenerbe that way? One would be Mari, so Guillotine, and second, the children of Lebensborn, whatever the Achnenerbe would be. Shit. And I wouldn't expect that. Anyway, I probably hadn't woken up out of sheer willpower or anything. It was more likely they found something at a deeper layer of my consciousness that even they couldn't affect. Something that both Kasumi and Father Trifa had failed to take into account. I hadn't seen, heard, or even felt her presence all that much lately, but she still saved me. I couldn't let it go to waste. Now that I was awake, I couldn't just sit back and leave everything up to Kasumi. That wasn't my style. Just like she was trying to do all she could, I too would do all of what I was here to do. Ouch. The children of Lebensborn would interrupt those denied of parental love. It seemed Shiro and Honjo had received their own fair share of the spell and fallen asleep too. They entered the room, rubbing their eyes. Huh? Those two were sharp. They had understood everything with barely a word. We'd been given the shout by Kasumi and Father Shiva, but this was where the main event truly began. In that moment, we had learned nearly everything about the situation and were in perfect sync. Now was the time for us to turn to the tables. Not turn the tables? Shouldn't it be seriously turn the tables? Not to the tables? That doesn't really... Alright, never mind.
Okay. つうか神父はあいつにどうこうできるほど甘くねえよ。
そんなに舐めてやるのもどうかと思うけど。
Maybe we'll see. Honjo made a wry smile.
でもまあ、私らは舐められたな。すっこんでろとか腹立つわ。
Same. Let's go for it.
同感だな。
This was above our egos. She gave me a slap in the face, so I couldn't help but want to return the favor. So I don't really like the idea of hitting a girl. Never done that, never want to do that. Well, it's Ren, so... Well, his account. I kinda want to give those two idiots a smacking too now, but an argument was the last thing we needed at this point. We knew where Kasumi was going.
教会だね。
Exactly. That was where we'd have our final battle with someone. It doesn't mean it will be final. All that was left were Wilhelm, Sakurai, Valeria Trifa. We had to get rid of all three of them in a single sweep.
俺らが一番最初に連中と絡んだのも思えば教会だったよな。
そうね。だからキリがいい。
俺もそうだよ。
The first member of the obsidian table I encountered was neither Wilhelm nor Salka, but Father Trifa. And Lisa. I still haven't forgotten the day I went to the church with him
かすみ、
and Himura.
待ってろ。すぐに言ってやる。
I voiced my resolve and left Bottomless Pit with Shiro and Honjo to kick some asses. Oh great, now the chapter ends. Tubalcain, Maleus, Maleficarum, Rotterspin and Babylon Magdalene. So apparently, well, Kazikupe, so of course, you know, Wilhelm is alive. Same for Leonhard August. So, okay, Sakurai. I think Zonenkind is... Wait, who the hell is Zonenkind? Ah, never mind. You think it will be rare? Maybe. Because Christoph Longrin is the freaking asshole church guy. Alright, Swastika 6-8, Shambhala 9-13. Skeleton close the end. Let's begin the next chapter, 13. There are things that cannot be forgotten. Things that should not be forgotten. Even if you know full well that what if scenarios don't mean a thing in reality, at certain times you nonetheless cannot help but wonder. By the way, I love that music here. Were there actions I could have taken to prevent that from happening? There once was a man who'd set his heart on becoming a priest since boyhood, and his dream came true. Well, whatever dreams you want. He did not possess a particularly special talent for that profession. He was just an average man who achieved his position through countless days of effort. A completely ordinary life befitting an ordinary man. I understand that. I mean, don't have any special talents as well, so yeah, hard work I guess. However, his motives were somewhat different from his peers, peculiar. Men and women of the cloth were supposed to believe their duty brought others salvation, and hold it as the most sacred of their callings. Yet, what he desired was salvation not of others, but himself. In short, he clung to faith, to his own love for God. It can be the concept ubiquitous among human societies. While religion divided into different sects with their own values, all of them had one thing in common: prayer, a belief in the existence of a greater power that created mankind. The man depended on that kind of worldview. He thought of himself as both mediocre and an aberration. He possessed no spiritual talents as far as living as a normal man was concerned, yet he excelled at matters that had been not certainly both unnecessary and abnormal. He could see and hear thoughts and memories dwelling in all things, both living and dead, that by far exceeded simple concepts such as mind reading. He saw people as books, pebbles on the roadside, as radio. The world he had been born into was a surreal aberration that no other soul would likely ever be able to comprehend. He felt alone and scared. In the end, that caused him to hasten down the road of the clergy. He hoped that being a part of the world's largest organization would make him feel like human, like he belonged. God had created the world. He loved mankind and watched its acts from high above. Well, we don't know that really. Maybe. I guess we hope it's like that. But, you know. Speaking of which, I read about some weird experiment where the guy was literally, you know, he's alone and so on, and he decided, yeah, I will take part in that experiment. So basically, his feeling of touch, his sight, his hearing, and so on were one after another like cut off, right? and at some point basically it was to check if the god really exists somehow, and at some point he started screaming something like the god abandoned us and so on, but you probably know about it. I don't know why I'm speaking about that now, just because of one freaking sentence. Weird. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Now wondering if it's true, right? If he's really freaking watching over us, or if he really abandoned humanity. Well, that's what you created, dude. You shouldn't abandon that, right? So yeah, I hope he's not done that. Anyway, as much the man too must have been a blessed child of the Father who art in heaven. He prayed, believed, hoped, and implored, but all of his laments ultimately fell on deaf ears. For on the other hand, even if it's his creation, gods, then, well, the way some humans basically act in their lives, yeah, I think I would do similar. For on the other hand, I would probably not do the abandoning part, but do the massacre thing on the person that do something terrible. Yep, that's how it would be probably, if I were the creator. Anyway, after all, the world he'd plunged into was in truth the most ironic purgatory there was in the world of men. It was offset religion was a drug, the fact that a believer is happier than a skeptic is no more to the point than the fact that a drunken man is happier than a sober one. Man was an imperfect creation. Obvious. And as such, the largest faction in the society of mankind too had its fair share of depravity and madness. As a result, the man too started falling apart. He was worn thin. His unnatural abilities had passed the threshold of mere agony, evolving into something that chiseled away at his very life. If he kept this up, his very existence would probably fade away in the near future. Thus, the man resigned himself to the mindset of a prisoner sentenced to be slowly but surely tortured to death. There was neither salvation nor refuge in his world. But one day, this man, who had given himself to die, met a being of genuine and radiant light. So we know.
1939年12月24日、私は真実の光を見た。
It was the moment that decided the fate of all those who would later call themselves the Knights of the Obsidian Round Table. Those who gathered there were from all walks of life and would have otherwise never crossed paths if not for that event. First, there were 2 female officers from respected households. Next, there were 2 prisoners who could only be described as savages. A woman brimming with maternity and a mysterious witch. And a woman out Claire and a worn out clergyman. To sum up the event in some words, they had all been utterly defeated by 2 monsters far superior to them. Everyone trembled in fear, kneeling before the being who defied their realm of understanding. For their feelings and circumstances were all different, they all found themselves equally subjugated. Yeah, they had no choice but to yield before those 2. One of them was a man whose name was known throughout all of Germany. The Black Prince of the Totenkopf, the Hangman, the man who held the reins of the Gestapo, Reinhard Heydrich. Well, I heard the name in the game before, but I can't say I heard about it in real life. I'm afraid. Let's see if that person really existed. Alright, wait, I think I checked it already before. Alright, so he really did exist, and yeah. And let's leave it at that. The other one was nowhere near as well known, but still prominent enough to avoid total obscurity. Karl Kraft. Oh, you know who that is, right? We know Karl. We do know who Karl is. That little crafty bastard. Anyway, those two men, or perhaps the word pillars who describe them better, were beings who, to the 7 present, appear to have undergone Alright. I checked Carla as well. Existed. I mean, I should have known, maybe. Well, wasn't taught that anyway. Was being who the 7... okay, those two men, or perhaps the word pillars who describe them better, were beings who to the 7 present appeared to have undergone a complete phase shift from reality, amalgams of aberrations and abnormalities that were too otherworldly to describe, like they were characters from a picture book come to life. To the man who could never see the world as others could, the paranormality of gold and mercury was nothing short of a blessing, even if the emotion in question was that of unfathomable fear. In that moment he shared it with the others, and only God could see such ubiquity in the hearts of men. And above all, those two were the only beings he had met whose hearts and memories he could not read. As such, he swore allegiance and worshipped them as gods, all without realizing that choosing to follow them was a grave mistake. Wait, seriously? He thought that?
いや、私は気づいていた。
But, or perhaps he merely feigned ignorance.
気づきながらも、彼らから離れられなかったのが私の罪。
But his biggest mistake was the idea that he could flee them. The war situation in the fatherland was growing worse by the day, with defeat growing more and more inevitable. On the other hand, the Obsidian Round Table only grew stronger. They were like beasts fattening of all the souls of the fatherland. No, of everyone that had fallen as a result of World War II. The entire world. His comrades were all broken, mad. They may have claimed they hadn't changed, but the eyes of the man could not be fooled. Under the influence of the gods of the Obsidian Round Table, his comrades, both the virtuous and wicked alike, began to grow equally twisted. In hindsight, perhaps what the man truly feared was neither gold nor mercury, but rather himself. Oh, so he was afraid he would turn into someone like them, right? Crazy bastard. I guess he actually turned that. The power he had gained under their hand awakened a craving in the core of his being, an act very much akin to ripping his mask off and facing the full brunt of his inner shadow. Perhaps that was what had caused his comrades to change. Some denied it while others grew intoxicated from the blessings, but with power to make their own words, their own rules into reality, they had all turned to beasts in the form of a man. The phenomenon that the man madly craved was...
別人になりたい。
He couldn't stand living in a world where stones wept, wind laughed, water raged, and fire screamed. As the fires of war spread, so did the voiceless laments of people the man could perceive, drawing out his own existence. As such, he desired to be an ordinary man whose 5 senses perceived the world the same way as everyone else did. There was no way out there to make the dream become reality other than to replace his brain with another's, and that was impossible. But precisely because of that impossibility, he yearned for it all the more, from the bottom of his heart.
ゆえに、
The two leaders of the Obsidian Round Table, I think he was saying something else, never mind, had indeed made him share the same emotion, absolute fear, with his comrades. But the longer he spent in the presence of the two, the stronger his craving grew. He couldn't bear it any longer. He couldn't deceive himself any longer. After all, a situation where one would receive a single loaf of bread every day, being kept as a perpetual state of starvation indefinitely was more torturous than simply starving to death. And so he ran away, for his own sake. He fled to the conclusion he would have met had he never run into the two that day. He sought for an end where he would die worn down from starvation. He had no regrets, he didn't doubt. He just wanted to return to the point where his life had branched off. Although he was hardly a distinguished priest, he still could help others attain salvation. And even if he was an abomination who would not see things in the same way as others, He still wanted to gaze at what he found beautiful in this world. He adored children. He admired their purity. And the terror of war could better and fatigue them, but it could not take their spark away. It could not twist them the way it did adults. He wished he could meet his end surrounded by children. What? The man who fled from the Obsidian Round Table chose an orphanage for his grave, and children as his flower offerings. For it was a pretty narcissistic choice. Those children, those flowers, smiled at him. He put all his all into raising them, as if hoping they would liberate him from all the bitter memories that plagued his mind, the painful noise of his past, so that he would attain salvation, so that the flowers would bloom beautifully. He loved their smiles. They soothed his pain and brought him happiness. As such, he had to reward them, so they would smile even more. There was nothing to be ashamed about in that reasoning. That was how human relationships normally formed. So he watered the flowers. He gave them nourishment and love. He loved them with his whole soul, so they would love him back. He saved them. That time had only lasted for about 3 months of the 90-something old man's life. But those 3 months were the brightest period of his life. Until that day when everything fell apart.
K の望みを叶えよう。
The golden bees uttered those words as he came upon the man's grave that turned out to be his paradise. The man remembered it all too well. He could never forget. The beast was accompanied by the Obsidian Round Table's strongest 3 members. Those creatures in the shape of men that still made him nauseous just looking into them. Albedo laughed. Rubedo looked at the man with contempt. Alright, I'm guessing Albedo is the girl, female, because woman. So not really a girl is a good term. But yeah, I'm guessing it's a female with this scar, after the burn or something. Rubedo, I would guess the guy on the left. And Nigredo looked disinterested like always. Alright, I'm not really correct here. So basically, Nigredo is on the left, Rubedo, I guess, the shorty, and Albedo on the right, the woman. And obviously number 1 behind all of them. Right, for the men could not read Gold's mind. It was obvious from their 3 knights' souls what was going to happen.
12
He sentenced the children to death with utter indifference, as if they truly were merely flowers to be plucked.
選び指させ。
He demanded the men to choose the flowers ripe for picking.
残りは K のものでよい。
But he would receive 10 of them first.
K の値段だ。それを代価にここで支払え。
Well, that guy really is a piece of shit. The number 10 children. The man couldn't tell if that was coincidence or an inevitability. There were exactly 10 alien flowers on the man's grave. At that point in time, those flowers were illegal to possess in their country. Churching them was an act punishable by the law. The man had never once discriminated them. He loved them all equally and neutrally, only seeing them as beautiful blossoms and nothing more. And yet...
1人。
His finger pointed at them. He wouldn't escape the eyes of his beloved flowers gazing at him with confusion and fear.
2人。
Every time the man's finger moved, Albedo's gun made a dry sound, scattering the chosen flower. Alright, I'm probably not correct again then. Then Albedo must have been the shorty. Their petals turned to red spurts of blood, their cries of lament pierced the man's heart.
3人。
Yet for a reason even he could not fathom, the man's finger did not stop. He selected his cherished flowers, one after another, with no hesitation.
4人。
And what he hated more than anything else was the vulgarity known as self-interest nestling his heart. Despite the situation, his mind was rationalizing it all as an act of self-defense.
5人。
All the others would likely be plucked if he didn't choose those 10. It was a matter of arithmetic.
6人。
That was the best choice to minimize the damage. He believed he was making the right choice, that he was doing anything wrong.
7人。
Such was his reasoning. But would the plucked flowers agree? No, never.
8人。
He loved them. He still loved them. He loved them so much that he'd want to save them all.
9人
But they were slipping out of his hands. No, he was letting them go. What was lacking? What was wrong? The answer was clear. This twisted worldview. His eyes didn't see the color plot, the way everyone else did. His eardrums did not hear the same sound pain screams. The brain that governed them both. This body, this vessel, containing all of him. It was hopelessly defected. He didn't need it. He didn't need this thing. He wanted to rid himself of this brittle vessel and become someone else. Someone truly perfect. He heard children's voices calling out his name. The flowers crying, asking to explain. Love was, love was, love was, love was. Oh Lord, where art thou? 10.
10人
Once the final flower scattered, the man had an epiphany. I see. There is no God in this world.
故に私はあなたを憎む
You who I long for, you whom I wish to mantle.
私が知る真に完全なるもの
Not that perfect, really. The strongest of entities, the independent, inviolable.
あなたを敬いあなたとなってあなたを汚す
Whoa! That was his wish, his entire being. He did not seek his own salvation. He realized there was no blessing in loving himself. He would walk as long as he needed to atone. He was now and forever a sinner. In order to walk his path of corrupt chastity for all eternity.
私があなたになるのだハイドリ秘境
And with that oath, Vladripa made the sign of the cross. Chapter 13. Holy Ark. Wow. Completely didn't see that coming.
あなたは本当にバカだと思う。
Yeah, she is.
逃がしてもらったのに、リザが生かしてくれたのに、どうして戻ってきたの？頭悪いよ。
Kasumi was a bit taken aback that those were the first words out of Rhea's mouth when she was the one who said they needed to duck.
レアさん知ってるの？嫌な夢を見た。
A dream of the children of Lebensborn. Had their memories flooded into Rhea too? Sorry. Now they both shared the truth of their great grandmother.
お腹痛くなりそう。
A story sickening enough to make any woman break out into goosebumps. Disgust and repulsion was enough to describe it. They didn't understand, nor did they want to. That stuff was immorality at its worst. No questions asked.
私、頭きてるの。
And what pissed her off the most?
今でも、リザのことがあまり嫌いになれない。
That woman was a monster, a woman so horribly off the virtuous track in vows and choices that her very existence was an insult to the universal image of motherhood. Even when considering her position and the times, there was simply no excuse good enough for what she did. True. In fact, she was using Rhea as her ticket to indulgence. To her, the girl was but a sacrifice to make up for her past transgressions. No one would blame Rhea for cursing her name with clenched teeth, and yet...
頭くるよ。そんなあの人がした、たった一つだけのいいこと。それを無駄にしちゃおうとしてるあなたに。
Rhea could not comprehend what on earth Kasumi was thinking.
私はですね、
Kasumi gave the girl a slightly dramatic, guilty look.
人をいっぱい殺しちゃったんですよ。
God damn it, you were fucking controlled by the guillotine!
首切り殺人あったじゃないですか。あれ、犯人私なんですよ。
God, no, it was not you. You were controlled. Oh, now that I think about it, this is where the people who were angry at me that I freaking complained about Chigara and Sunrider being controlled and still hating on her when she stopped being controlled will arrive. Well, sorry, it's a different case. Chigara was, in my opinion, a shit character anyway. So yeah. Oh, Chapter 3 of Half-Life, A Place in the West will be released soon. So 21st July, whatever. Fate Excel now will be coming to Steam as well, the end of July. That's pretty cool. Anyway,
だから、
it was as though she was asking what that had to do with anything.
死んで償うとか言うつもり？意味がわからない。
Exactly. I guess.
本当にわかってる？あなたがそれをすると、さらにいっぱい死ぬんだよ。その、殺した人たちが帰ってくるとして、他の関係ない人たちが何千人も死んじゃうのよ。わかってる？
No, she does not.
何を吹き込まれて勘違いしたのか知らないけど、奇跡とか、そんなに甘くない。お願いだから、頭悪い子は早く帰って。あなたにできるプラスなんか、何もないよ。じゃあ、
Kasumi couldn't ask for the girl's harsh yet concerned harangue.
レアさんには何ができるんですか？ずいぶん詳しいみたいですけど、いつからどれくらい知ってたんですか？
Longer than you?
私が頭悪いのは認めるけど、
She knew full well just how powerless she was.
レアさんがそうじゃないなら、何もすることはなかったんですか？
Rara didn't answer.
私、本当に何も知らなかったんですよ。
Everyone protected and hid everything from her. Maybe there was more she still didn't know.
全部、知ってたんですか？
Everything from the very beginning?
全部、計算づくですか？違う。
Rara shook her violently.
そんなこと、ない。だったら、レアさんは同じ学校の先輩で、あなたたちが後輩で、出会って、話して、仲良くなって、
Their current relationship had formed naturally.
素敵な偶然だって、私は思いますよ。だからよかった。レアさんが否定してくれて。友情パワーとか、私は信じたい性分だし。
They hadn't been merely dancing to some unknown person's tune. Everyone didn't know what to say in response.
先輩が私たちと知り合ったのは偶然だって。それだけわかればいいんです。意地悪言ってごめんなさい。
It didn't matter what she knew or how long she'd known it, much less what she agreed with. What really mattered was that their friendship had been lied. She was fine so long as she knew just that.
だから、ちょっとは信じてくださいよ。私バカだけど、そんなにネガティブでもないのは知ってますよね。私が来たのは、勝つためです。早瀬さん。
Rara didn't exactly understand what Kasumi was talking about, but she nonetheless expectantly waited for Kasumi to continue.
言いましたよね。私は人殺しだって。
You are not, for fuck's sake!
だから、けじめつけないといけないんですよ。
You have nothing to atone for, you are not the killer, god damn it! It was highly unlikely none of her victims would forgive her for simply remembering, acknowledging and regretting her crimes. She had to find something she could do to make up. She had to consider all of the options. Just sitting and doing nothing, protected with kind and indulgent words, wouldn't cut it.
先輩、レンのこと好きですか？
That was how she felt, and she wanted things to be clear between them.
あいつのダメなところ、10個くらい言えます？いきなり、何を言って。
Rara raised an eyebrow, but Kasumi just continued.
まず、意外に短気。すぐ嘘つく。秘密主義。思ってること口にしない。鈍いふり大好き。かっこつけ。顔かわいいのに褒めると怒る。
Kasumi blurted off her complaints like a machine gun regarding Rara with eyes, urging her to join in. Indeed, Rara agreed that There were quite a few things that irritated her about Ren. She wasn't to anger easily, but it was true he did piss her off, more often than simply once or twice.
あと古い。
There weren't many boys like him in this day and age anymore.
実は男尊女卑志向。
Good point, that might very well be the case. He always kept repeating how he should do things because he was a guy.
極めつけは、やっぱりあれでしょ。
The two girls uttered the 10th one, the flaw that angered them the most, in perfect unison. This one could absolutely never be left out, the king of irritating flaws in Ren's character. 4.
みんな一人で片付けようとするところ。
I'm sorry, I did the same thing! Do you really hate that? Oh, damn! Ouch! That would only work to worry and concern them, ultimately driving them to chase him against all better judgment. He had a sense of volatility about him, as if he might just go and disappear if one didn't keep their eyes glued on him. It was certainly cool that he never grumbled or complained, but it made it all the harder to notice if he only saw the cried in his heart. And the girls were terrified at the prospect of being blind to this pain.
そう思うのは、私も同じで。
Kasumi gave a fleeting smile and nodded as for she read Rhea's mind.
ねえ、レアさん。気づいてますか？今の、まんま別の誰かさんに当てはまるってこと。私気づいちゃったんです。放っておいたらどこかで立てなくなってそうな人のこと。気づいちゃったから、ほっとけない。
Okay.
レアさんがそこに行っちゃ、ダメだよ。
That was the exact same name that Ren had once said to her. You shouldn't be in a place like this!
いろいろ知っちゃったし、わかったし、まだ半信半疑なところもあるけど、要するに、私の方が劣ってるってことなんでしょ？だったら、ここでレアさんが頑張ってる方が危ない。これは、成功させちゃいけないことだから。ほら、私ってズボラだし、みんなおじゃんにしちゃえるかもって、そんな風に思うから。かも、ね。
I'm afraid it don't work like that. I mean, she was controlled by the Guillotine back then, but we don't really know what happened to all these souls. So what if something happens to you and you can actually, with all the other souls, trigger the swastika? Well then, everything is fucked. Sorry. Well, sorry, my logic here involved. What was Ra to do if Kasumi really meant it? She didn't think she did, but considering Kasumi she was scared she actually might have. Kasumi merely figured out how to bring this state of affairs to close, in her own way. She was in the end both more optimistic and realistic than Rhea. The girl couldn't help being impressed by her inner strength.
けじめっていうのは、そういうこと？だってもともと、私のせいで、レンは引き返せなくなったんだもの。
The fuck are you talking about? It's not your fault!
私が一番最初に、一番どうしようもなく、みんなの日常を壊したから。
Say what? No. She caused Ren to get involved in this. No! She caused Ren to get stuck in her current position. No! Kasumi was what triggered it all. No!
だったら、私が終わらせないとダメじゃないかなって思うし。
Hey! It was my time to Ren's time to shine! How dare you!
逃げちゃいけないって思うよ。
Even though she was scared and nervous, she had to atone. No, she hadn't to.
だから、先輩の出番もレンの出番も食っちゃおうって決めたんです。文句言ってもダメですからね。今はそっちが脇役ってことで。
You think we will allow that? We will not allow this hard roll. We are going to shine here. The spotlight is mine. I mean Ren's.
まあ見ててくださいよ。バシッと私が決めますから。
Yeah.
でも、
Ra, nonetheless, couldn't shock with the ancient spell. She had no idea what Casim was planning, but her relative was not to be trifled with. For she didn't know everything about him. All she could think was that Casim was trying to bite off more than she could chew. Yeah.
綾瀬さん、あの人は。
She had to warn her, make her understand.
ねえ、レアさん。一つだけお願い。
First of all, could you let her freaking finish the sentence?
お姉さんって呼んでいい？
Say no. Say no. Maybe that will stop her. I was excited at how out of place that was, yet she also found it kind of funny. In the end, she was unable to find the words to change her mind.
お姉さん？
Say no.
お姉さん。おじいちゃんが兄弟なんだから、はとこになるのかなちょっと驚いたけど、私素直に嬉しいよ。
Wow. Talk about changing the topic.
親戚とかいなかったし、全部終わったら一緒にお墓参りとかしたいな。
What if they don't actually have graves and they form something like obsidian on a table as well? Ouch. I should have said that maybe. Lisa, Isaac, Johan to pray for their happiness in the next world. And for the many others who died.
それで、お互い結婚して子供ができたら、お年玉とかあげるの。一緒に初詣行って、七五三とか入学式とかデジカメで撮りながらキャーキャー言いたい。
Normal people don't do that sound that you just did. Ross might sigh as she pictured that image.
それはまたなんていうか燃えるね。でしょ？マジで萌え萌えっすよ。
Wow. It really would be nice to live in such time.
じゃあ私のお婿さんは藤井くんを予約するから。
Ooh, in your face!
はい。
Too slow.
あなたはどっかそこら辺で適当なのを見つけなさい。
Wait, did I unlock actually Rhea through somehow?
ちょっと待ってみようか、電波姉さん。
Well, she already reserved him. Sorry, Kasumi.
何よ。
You had no word here.
レンは私の。なんすか、その勝ち誇ったような失笑は。
Again.
だって私ギュッてされて大事な人だって言われたもん。
That's okay. That's not that. Alright, I hate to bring this to you, Rhea, but that doesn't mean he's in love.
私だってもっとすごいの。そのなんていうか既成事実っぽいのクリアしたもん。
Yeah, he fell asleep while hugging you.
男の過去にはこだわらないのがいい女。
She's the best. In your face, Kasumi.
まああなたは秘書女っていう大爆弾を抱えたまま次の相手を探しなさい。
It's okay, Kasumi. I'll take you.
プリン？
そのレンと同じ寒い切り返しがまた腹立つのよ。性格悪い。
Okay, she will come up with something as well, right?
そうか。私は藤井くんと通じ合ってるのね。
Knew it.
いいこと聞いた。
I knew she would go something like that.
だから
Ra finally realized how important such trivial and seemingly empty conversation were to leading a normal life. And so she was grateful. Okay, that was normal laughter, not the evilish one. She decided to think thoroughly one more time about what it was she could possibly do in this situation. Just like Kasumi, so that she wouldn't lose to her feelings.
どっちが藤井くんとゴールするかは、今日の頑張り次第ってことで。
私負けないですよ、姉さん。
うん。どんとかかってきなさい。妹よ。
いや、はい。つうかなんで私がチャレンジャーみたいになってんだろう。絶対こっちが3馬身くらいリードしてるはずなんだけどな。
Now do you?
そういうのを妄想という。
妄想じゃないもん。
Are you sure? Indeed, they would strive their best and fight. They would give their all for the man they both loved. The door behind Red and Kasumi opened. They turned around to see more people coming out.
負けない。
She would fight.
勝つんだ。
They would grasp victory.
仲
Maybe.
良きことは美しきかな。とまあ、お話は終わりましたか？
Kasumi shivered, gripping Ra's hand. Ra could feel Kasumi's fear pass through the hair.
では、こちらへ。フローへ、バイナハテン。
Alright, I think that's not how it would be spelled correctly, actually. At least that's not what they taught me with words, I think, in junior high and high school. Fröhliche Weihnachten, you say? Well, okay, let's leave it at that. Ra could not let someone who should run risk celebrating her birthday to die tonight, not by any circumstances. And... Alright.
あなたの気持ちも少しだけわかる。
Alright, I kind of want to end the episode and such, but I kind of have a feeling that it might be a bad idea at this moment, and that's problematic. Anyway, let's continue then. Kasumi passed by Kay in the chapel as she followed Trifa.
誰か生き返らせたい人がいる。そうなんでしょ？
Alright, now she's acting like she knows everything. Kay remained silent. She figured anything she'd say would be meaningless at this point anyway.
多分桜井さんの気持ちは自然なもので、間違ってるかもしれないけど正しくて、みんながあなたみたいになる可能性は
Alright,
否定できない。
Kasumi, you should actually stop talking.
誰かを好きになるってそういうことだもんね。理屈じゃなくなるし、算数なんかどうでもよくなる。
Arithmetic was the greatest and indisputable manifestation of logic and reasoning in the human world. Even children knew that. But only outsiders would ever resist one to adhere to it. Only a perfectly objective stance on the full picture allowed for the know-it-all cruelty.
当事者は
Those personally involved in the matter couldn't help but turn into reckless fools, and the distortion accelerated the more people there were in the group.
達観できないよね。
Was that aimed at me here? Kasumi? Did you aim those words at me? Only those that loved nothing could remain objective. Okay, was that aimed at me as well, game? Kind of. Those that were strong, but in a cold way, as for lacking in something. Those whose mental scales had been unbalanced from the very start. The madmen that had polished their common sense to perfection. Right, I guess I'm not a madman, so I guess it's not aimed at me. Probably. It had been one of the tenets of the common sense to stick with the largest faction, the diversity of its laws and morals notwithstanding, as such Kay had nothing to be shamed for. Stick with the largest faction. I probably would go the other way, kind of.
でもね。
The girls could not bring themselves to look each other in the eye, but Kasumi nonetheless spoke with clear voice.
レンならきっと、こう言うよ。取り返したいじゃなくて、そもそも取り落とさない。だから私も、そうするよ。あいつをなくしちゃわないように。だって、私の好きな藤井蓮は、何と引き換えにしたって釣り合わないんだもん。
Alright. You really should stop talking to her. Because she's angry at him and that might trigger something.
ねえ、そうでしょ。桜井さん。
Kei sadly watched Kasumi's presence grow further and further away. She had nothing to say, no words to retort her with. Anything would have just been used as pointless and ridiculous at this point. She had no tolerance for pretty words. Even if she kept putting up a mask of stoicism and bravado, it wouldn't stop the bleeding in her heart. An absence created a void, a chink in one's soul. So she sealed it with corpses, and would sell the whole thing to the devil as a set. She wouldn't have been able to live with this pain in another way. That was all she could do.
まあ、せいぜい客が来ることを祈れや、レオン。
She had sworn to brave his path no matter what she had to face.
期待が外れりゃ、この第7は俺がてめえの命でこじ上げてやる。
こっちのセリフだ、レイ。
Kei hoped with all her heart that Ren would arrive soon. Her feeling, a sweet obsession squeezing her heart, was reminiscent of that maiden's love.
さて、じゃあ、始める前に確認しときたいんだけどよ。
You take the vampire, right? Shiro stopped at the bottom of the hill and lit a cigarette. I watched as he put out smoke and spoke in a completely carefree voice.
この先にいるのは3人だよな。
Correct. Bei, so basically Wilhelm, Sakurai, Leonardo, and freaking church guy. Whose name is really a female's name. God damn it, Valeria is a female's name.
まず神父でしょ。それから桜井ちゃんにビルヘルム。
Three of them. We had to beat them all on the 7th swastika.
で、俺らも3人。数が合うから、1人1冊って言いたいとこだが。
私を頭数に入れないでよ。そんな変態大戦争の当事者になんかなりたくないし。
Good choice.
ま、だよな。じゃあお前は見物してろ。見てるだけでも退屈はしないだろ。
そのつもり。別にいいでしょ、レン君。
Yep.
好きにしろよ。
I'd only known her for a few days, but I knew she wasn't the type to do as she was told, and honestly I didn't have time to waste on arguing the matter.
どうせ神父は引きこもってる。俺とシローで桜井とビルヘルムの相手をすれば、お前に害はないよ。
そうね。そうなってくれると助かる。あとはまあ、期待通りの経験ができればいいんだけど。
そこは運任せだな。教会なんだし、祈れよ。
冗談。
Hon just nodded and shook her head.
十字架に祈るのって、ギロチンや電気椅子に祈るような変態行為だと私は思うよ。
So... I'm kind of not the only one. I mean, I believe in stuff and so on, but... You know, all that stuff is the creation of humans, not really God. We don't know if God really wanted churches and so on. Besides, we do know how churches use the money.
お前、それ当てつけかよ。
いやいや、そうじゃなくて、素直な気持ち？真面目に考えて、なんかおかしいと思うでしょ。
そりゃな。
Why still do we need to read the Bible someday? For I do know a bit of spoilers. The cross was original execution device, so I could understand where Honjo was coming from. Those words sparked a question I'd almost forgotten.
シロ、 お前が言ってたことは、マジか。
あ？おう。あいつ本気出すと吸血鬼になるんだわ。つまり弱点ができる。
Heh. Until Shiro learned this in his fight with Wilhelm at the school, since the creation of England was the manifestation of one's personal craving, it apparently turned him into a vampire, yeah.
つまり、あいつだけは俺でもやれる可能性があるってことになるか。だからって簡単じゃねえけどな。
それはそうだろう。
Having a skill that only provided you with weaknesses would be beyond hilarious, so it was reasonable to assume the benefits of that form outweighed the flaws. Or perhaps a better way of looking at it would be to say he boosted his strength at the price of actually introducing risk to the fight. Either way, Wilhelm was still a dangerous foe. But he was indeed the only one Shiro had a shot at beating, so we couldn't change the matchups anyway. Meaning the only thing I could do at this point was trust him.
新規くせえ顔すんなよ。お前は自分の心配してろ。
桜井ちゃんはね、私嫌いじゃないんだけど、もうさすがに手遅れか。
Kind of.
蓮くんは平気？一応その
There is no history!
知らない仲じゃないんだし。
It was all a lie!
ごめん、つまんないこと言った。
いや、いいよ。
I definitely have a strange connection with Sakurai. It was true she was hard to deal with and that I'd rather avoid the matter if possible. However...
お前の言う通りだよ。手遅れだ。
I had my priorities, saying Kasumi took precedence over taking Sakurai's situation in consideration. That was all there was to it. Still, I couldn't just pass by and ignore Sakurai, and she likely had no intention of going down without a fight either. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but she was like my arch enemy.
OK。だったらいいんだよ。そんなら行くか。
ああ。
Let's start the party!
了解。
At midnight, we headed down the hill to the church to face our final battle and save Kasumi and Himura.
帰る時も、全員一緒だからな。
Shiro chuckled and Contra shrugged. They truly were fickle beyond belief, but they were my comrades, and I didn't want to let them die. Still, I knew we might as well have been marching to the netherworld. I couldn't confidently say we'd escape alive.
ようこそ。待ってたぜ、ガキども。
Yeah. Wilhelm, the first of the psychos I had the bad luck of beating, was waiting for us, seemingly prepared for an all-out war.
たまには祈ってみるもんだな。ここ一番で狙い通りってのは俺の人生的に珍しい。つうわけでよ、ケチがつかねえうちに始めようや。わかってるよな。
Yeah, it would be hard to freaking not understand. His eyes were locked on Shiro, brimming with pure killing that he wasn't looking at anything else.
行けよ、レン。好都合じゃねえか。同じ展開だぜ。あの時とよ。
そうだな。
It seemed that our fools had also assumed the battle would go this way. By me versus Sakurai, Shiro versus Wilhelm. It was still the same setup from the time we fled from Reinhardt.
行けよ。てめえの相手も後でしてやる。レオンが俺の邪魔なんぞしねえように相手しててやんな。
レン、
行け。
ほら。
Urged on by the two, and with Contra pushing my back, I nodded.
わかった。
I jumped over Wilhelm in one swift leap, and rushed right into the church. I didn't want this to be our final farewell, nor did I have intention of letting it be. But I had to think about my own survival first. I was good at dealing with Sakurai, and any doubts or hesitations would prove fatal for me now. I couldn't let the knowledge of her background and motives slow me down. Hi!
藤井君。
I had to treat and break my way through her as mortal enemy. My hey, Sakurai, has these thoughts never crossed your mind? That if we'd met under different circumstances, well, we probably still wouldn't have gotten along as best friends. It could have been fun in its own right. I couldn't help thinking that. Hey, not so fast! I blocked Sakurai's launch, freezing all of my silly sentiments to eyes. I couldn't be better here if I was to accomplish my goal. Hey! Wilhelm Ernenburg's eyes narrowed as he sensed the aftershock of the clash in the chapel. It kept the demonic aura clouding his body, preserved a dangerous threshold, but he was the being. He appeared almost uncertainly calm. She was soon to point it out.
おい、どうしたよ。やる気ねえのか注意殿。
いや何、ちっとばかり考え事をな。
He considered Shiro with his crimson eyes. Then his gaze shifted to the young man's side.
そっちの女、お前もやんのかい？
私は見物人。どうぞ。気にしないでいいから好きに始めちゃって。
ああ。
Yet an unrecommendable woman, she knew the score, that's for sure.
別にいいがよ。戦ってる俺のそばにいるやつは例外なくするぞ。俺はそういうもんだ。
うん。だから頑張ってよ、シロ。
Eddie gave Shiro a light tap on the shoulder. The man couldn't stifle Rai's minds at the bizarre display.
とまあ、そういうわけだ。面白い女だろ。
ああ、なかなか見ねえ人種だな。
In other words, they lived and died together. Either they trusted each other very much, or there was something else, curious, going on between them. Wilhelm made a broad smile.
いい魂だ。安心しろや、お嬢ちゃん。お前もきっちり吸ってやる。で、てめえとはこれで都合3回目、いや、4回目か。ちったマシになったかよ。
数日そこらで都合よくレベルアップなんかするかよ。俺は人間だぜ。まあでも全く手がねえってわけでもないけどな。
そうかい。
Wilhelm's blood last exploded with those words.
じゃあ始めようか。
Stakes pierced his skin, sprouting all over his body. The stench of blood filled the air, turning it vicious. Shiro had realized these things were clothes of the bastard's own blood. The very blood that mixed and fused inside the vampire's body was Kazi Klupe's own nerve. Shiro didn't know if honest to God vampires really exist in this world, but what he was looking at was most certainly the epitome of one. A demon polluted by cursed blood to its very soul, the bloodsucker of the night.
いいぜ、何でもやってみろ。俺を殺せる相手じゃねえと花から勝負が成立しねえ。牙もねえ虫けら100万潰したところで何も面白がねえんだよ。だがな、勘違いはすんなよ、ガキ。
The stakes began to creak as for the victims of those bloody fangs were wailing.
てめえをひなり殺したところでこの第7は開かねえ。所詮こんなもんは前座なんだ。レオンもあのガキもクリストフもまとめて始末してやるよ。残るのは俺だけだ。
なんだ、神父もかよ。
It was somewhat of an unexpected remark, but Shiro honestly wasn't all that surprised. He wouldn't put it past this man.
ちょろちょろと影で動き回るだけが脳の逃げ出し野郎が舐めすぎなんだよ。あいつはハイドリ卑怯に喧嘩売ってやがる。許せねえよな。ああ、許せねえ。増年金との片割れだ。城を飛ばしたのはイザークだぜ。あいつの血以外は信用できねえ。
血ね。
He'd said the most vulgar thing. This man had quite the obsession with blood.
てかお前よ、そんな性格でボスには絶対服従かよ。
お前はあの人を知らねえのさ。
Wilhelm retorted against Shiro's teasing with an all too quiet snort.
俺はあの人にしか負けたことがねえ。あの人だけが俺にとっちゃ絶対だ。わかるかよ、魂売るって意味がよ。シュピーネ、バビロン、マレウス、クリストフ、あいつもかいつもみっともねえ腰抜けどもがそんなに怖えかよ、あの人が。恐ろしいかよ、食われんのが。バカがビビるのが60年遅えんだよ。そんなもんは初めてあの人に会った時俺はとっくに覚悟決めたぜ。シュライバーもザミエルもマキナはちっとばかり事情が違うが連中も俺と同じだ。今さら何も怖かねえ。
All they had was fanatic loyalty. They revered the power and the gold that bestowed it upon them. If there was one thing they feared, it was him deeming them unnecessary.
そうだよ。俺は忠誠を誓ってんだぜ。
Wilhelm looked up at the sky as though he expected something to fall from it.
なのになんでだろうな。なんで俺は城に連れてかれなかったんだ。まだ何か足りねえのか。足りねえのならそらなんだよ。いつもそうだ。欲しいもんは一つもこの手に入らねえ。誰が悪い？何が悪い？直すとしたらそれどこだ？
He just kept on looking himself. Seeing a man so intoxicated with his love for violence, quietly grumbling about his little dissatisfactions was positively an unnerving sight.
俺の血は畜生だ。
He said so in a detached voice.
英雄の器じゃねえ。
The demon's pallid face fell completely expressionless.
つまりそういうことなんだろうって思うしかねえよな。
His eyes poised upwards, filled with a light of crazed passion. Ellie and Shiro simultaneously leaped to the side. His scream exploded like a bomb.
だったらこの血をよ絞り出して交換するしかねえだろうが。
The stone flying stakes fell on the spot where the two had been standing. It into a needle bed. Shiro dodged barely, rolling as he fired at Wilhelm, but
聞かねえよ。
well. Wilhelm was shot right in the forehead, but he didn't even flinch. His bloodshot eyes glared at Shiro, giving off an ominous line that sent a freezing chill through the young man's body.
てなわけでよ、あまりじゃれてるわけにもいかねえんだ。俺には後が残ってる。てめえと遊ぶのも楽しいが、ああ、悪く思うなよ。時間制限かけさせてもらったぜ。
What he meant was... Uh-oh. Ellie failed to properly dodge the attack, and of course, a normal person in her place would have died before they know what had hit them.
抜けねえよ。そしてそれは治らねえ。俺がくたばりでもしねえ限りな。
With her fake pierced, Ellie was as good as nailed to the ground. The blood, her very life, poured forth from the wound, as for drained by the light. Night, sorry. You bastard! How dare you do that to the best girl of the game?
悲鳴の一つもあげねえが根性座った女は好きだぜ。ほらどうするよ色男。俺の体から切り離した以上威力は下がるが持ってせいぜい数分だ。あれが骨になるまで見物する。どうすんだよ。
Sure didn't attempt to say anything, he just glanced at Ellie, making eye contact with her. Don't worry, I'm not. Just watch and see. Yeah, I trust you. Their thoughts were in complete sync, allowing them to communicate with eyes alone. There was no need for Shiro to lose his cool. He just looked back at Wilhelm and spoke.
一つ断っとくぜ。
He aimed his gun at the vampire and continued in a annoyed tone of voice.
俺がここに来たのはてめえのくだらねえ愚痴聞くためじゃねえんだ。
ああ、お友達を助けに来たんだろ。
それも違う。
A gunshot, the bullet hit Wilhelm straight in the forehead just like the last one, but I suspect it didn't have any effect on him.
思い通りにならねえからだ。
わけがわからねえな。
The stakes shook and creaked, as if the resistance of the little bug was amusing them.
俺の思い通りになるのはそんなにつまらねえか。
てめえにはねえんだな。
あ？
Wilhelm hadn't realized neither the meaning of Shiro's words nor the action he took. When he'd made eye contact with Ellie, Shiro had swapped magazines. He'd paid very close attention to make sure Wilhelm didn't notice. Then there was the last shot he'd fired. That was the bullet that had remained in the chamber, and one with fuzzy knowledge of guns would have known that. But Wilhelm, who had failed to notice the swapping of the magazines, didn't even suspect Shiro's gun was packing a completely different type of ammo now. That said, the whole thing required one more push to maximize its effect. The plan was only about 30 to 40% complete beyond this point lied the hardest part. To make Wilhelm take things seriously and turn to a real vampire, Shiro had to survive until then somehow. When he thought about it logically, it was reckless beyond belief. And yet, was this karma? Shiro couldn't help but feel a sense of exasperation.
俺はよ
A sense of déjà vu flashing through his brain let him know what was going to happen. And so he gasped with a look of disgust on his face.
俺の思い通りになってんのがムカついてんだよ
At that moment,
面白いこと抜かすじゃねえかよ。
Wilhelm closed his and blew himself to Shiro in a blink of an eye, elbowing the young man in the stomach.
あれ
He then threw Shiro all the way up to the roof of the church, who barely managed to cling to his consciousness at the impact. Yet if anything, this proved to be good luck for the young man.
バカが痛くねえんだよ
It was just a punch. The bastard may have ruptured some of his internal organs, but Shiro felt no pain from anything short of a dark heat from an out nerve. He couldn't help getting choked up over his labored breathing, but it wasn't damage that kept him from fighting.
おお、忘れてたぜ。じゃあこれはどうだ
Wilhelm launched a stick over that 10 meters long, not impaled but two. Wilhelm swung the stake like a baseball bat, smashing Shiro in the flank. The young man's ribs broke and blood gushed from his mouth. He couldn't really find the pain.
もろいな。せめて時間いっぱいぐらいは上がってよガキ。あまりがっかりさせんな。
はめえよ
His whole body exploded in pain from that one strike. Just breathing hurt his lungs, just standing hurt his spine, and even the slightest movement made his waist feel like it was going to shatter into pieces. But even so, Shiro could tell that he was still capable of moving.
ああ、何がだ。
がっかりっていうのはなこんな程度じゃねえんだよ
The demon laughed with delight. He looked up to the skies, cackling. And as those laughs echoed through the air,
そうかよ。
the demon sprouted a stake from his hand and instantly launched it at his foe's stomach. Blocking it was impossible, for it was the very embodiment of overwhelming strength. A hit that foretold the difference in their battle, the parting of their very existence, an impact that tore not only through Shiro's skin but his courage too. Shiro flew up, smashing the cross on the roof of the church. His whole body was numb, his knees were shaking, he couldn't muster even the slightest drip of strength. He was currently plastered against the cross like Jesus on the crucifix, slowly sliding down to his death. A mere human like him would squish on the pavement like a bug from a fall this high.
シロ
A voice from the ground woke Shiro up. He wrapped his right arm around the cross, managed to keep himself from falling.
情けねえ声上げてんじゃねえや
あんたが情けない結果知ってっからでしょ
女、まだ喋れんのか。
His crimson eyes, gleaming with joy, turned to the woman. Now that he'd formed his weapon, the once caged madness rampaged unfettered. He did not even care who his opponent was anymore.
もう2、3発いっとくか。
Blood-sucking fangs jutted out of his chest and stomach, but before he could launch them,
おいこら
a shoe hit Wilhelm right in the face.
相手間違えんなよタコ
He'd attack not with a gun, but with a shoe. Either would have worked anyway. With fish. Meaning he must have judged the latter was more powerful, at least psychologically. The effects were immediate. There was no greater suicidal act. That's true, actually. Throwing a shoe at someone. Woo! Not a good idea. Well, good idea if you want to make someone angry. The demon was mad, rather he was happy, and he was much more terrifying as he was so.
いいな。いいぜお前。できりゃ俺が人間だった時に会いたかった野郎だぜ。ちょうど今のてめえくらいの年の頃だ。ハイドリ秘境にぶちのめされるまで俺はクソ貧民窟のグレンだったよ。
They weren't so different.
ほらその目でわかるんだよ。足りねえ足りねえってな。いつも飢えてる乾いてる。周りがアホに見えるだろ。弱すぎてつまんねえだろ。ちょいと遊んでやっただけでよ、どいつもこいつも壊れんだよ、あっけなく。じゃあ何か手加減してやるってか。冗談抜かせや。 虫けら気にして歩いてる奴がどこにいる？
What he sought was someone who saw things the way he did. What he wanted was an inner being who could withstand his play.
それでお前も踏み潰されたってか？笑えねえな。
ああ、笑えたぜ。
Wilhelm paid no heed to Shiro's sarcasm. He spread his arms and spoke as though he was singing.
俺が最強だと思ってたんだぜ。
All the members of the obsidian table had been like that, and they had all reacted in different ways when Reinhardt had proven them sorely wrong. Some succumbed to fear, others chose the path of subservience, some venerated their subjugator, while others cursed and despised him. They did just wag their tails. They realized they would find what they had sought for all their lives under his command, things far beyond the comprehension of common low lives. So they followed, so they killed. They wanted to become a part of gold, as his blood-stained fangs on the clothes. If they did,
そうすればよ、俺のクソくだらねえ業ってやつも消えるかもって思ったんだ。
but if his blood was dirty, then all he had to do was squeeze it out and replace it. By bathing in and drinking the blood of thousands and thousands, he would absorb it and be reborn. What? I don't think that's how it works, man.
俺は昔から欲しいと思ったもんが手に入らねえんだ。
Lady Luck was not on his side, treating battles to the death. A woman he had met so much he wished to devour them, and Master he revered so much he wanted to be devoured by them. All of those rare encounters, as they may have been, had slipped out of Wilhelm Edinburgh's grasp at every turn. Sometimes things got in his way, other times the objects of his desires filled from him, and even more times they didn't look his way. He had been plagued by 90 years of defeats and failures.
てめえもそうだろう。
Wilhelm said that in kind voice. He didn't know what Shiro sought, but he could feel he too was chasing after that which he couldn't play, dancing to a rhapsody of destruction. He was a martyr who walked down a road filled with suicide, self-mutilation, and self-destruction. He did his life so long as he could obtain the satisfaction he craved, that went for charging into the golden chaos and changing the war demons of the obsidian round table. They were exactly the same. They loved the hurtful tips of the thorn in the way no one else could understand.
だからよ、おめえなら俺を満足させてくれるんじゃねえか？
Shiro filled his legs and arms with strength, and after confirming what he was still capable of moving, he spoke.
一緒にするなよ、白助。
Oh yeah. The laughter filled the night sky. The moon twisted and gained a crimson color. She realized it was it. It was coming, just like at the school. The vampire was about to bear his true nature.
そうかい。じゃあ死ね。
With Shiro still carrying the cross, Wilhelm got in close enough to reach him. He dug his fingernails to Shiro's shoulder. Was he planning on bringing it out in his pose? The night echoed with the creaking of flesh and bone and metal, as the pair's surroundings distorted. For the night would be his chief domain. He would purge the taint and be born anew. Wither to ashes, oh my dearest love. And at that moment, two layers of night superimposed upon each other. Sakura and I both noticed a sudden change and jumped back. I felt brutal fatigue and the lethargy seized my whole body. This sensation of my stomach being snapped was undoubtedly the same thing I'd experienced back at school. This was even more powerful. By overlapping night with night, Wilhelm's creation thing was more dangerous than before. I wondered if he'd decay, for he hadn't kicked the banquet yet. This forced exhaustion was not something a mere human should be able to handle. Aren't you annoying?
お前が余裕なさすぎるだけだ。
So I was giving her back talk, my patience was filling up, Rustic speaking. I didn't go to Shiro's aid with Sakura in my way. At if she lost, I knew that I would be no match for the tag team of her and Wilhelm, especially not with my stamina draining by the second. I would definitely lose, no question asked. The silver lining was that Wilhelm's barrier was draining Sakura too. I had to settle the duel quickly so I would be in position to take countermeasures whether Shiro won or lost.
もたもたしてる時間はないな。
I wouldn't put a swift end to this battle with Sakurai. I determined that was my only choice after considering the possible turn of events. However,
どうか
she said so in a subdued voice.
私も今いいことを思いついた。
The next moment she set our surroundings on fire. That's not a good idea. It wasn't part of an attack. She just scattered the fire that clamped her sword to set the nearby pews and carpets on fire. I had no idea what she was up to. For she had set the chapel on fire, and the blaze she started on her own was just that. An ordinary fire. I didn't pose much of a threat at all. She'd forgotten how the game worked. Only an Achnenerbe could defeat an Achnenerbe wielder.
わからない
Yet Sakura smirked as if her victory was set in stone. What in the world was she thinking? At that moment I felt like I'd come down with a terrible hangover. I felt dizzy, on the verge of falling to my knees. No oxygen. She couldn't have.
苦しいでしょう。
No trouble, I couldn't breathe. My body was going numb.
ここは密室だから聞くのが早いのよね。
I understood. I could perceive just how dangerous the situation was. This was simply oxygen deprivation. The fire consumed all the oxygen around them, preventing me from breathing. Should have left the door open! The chapel was a sealed room made of stone. It started suffocating in no time flat. But how? How was it that Sakura looked so calm? She should have been under the same circumstances as me.
原則を忘れないで。生物を持つ者は生物でしか倒せない。
Well, it allows her to breathe without oxygen, that's all.
私たちは毒ガスを吸っても死なないし、無酸素で窒息するようなこともない。だけど苦しいことは苦しい。心臓は不随意筋。自分の意志でコントロールできないし、血中酸素がなくなれば活動に支障をきたす。
So you just have to imagine that it doesn't have any influence. Or something like that. That explained why I hadn't suffocated to death yet. But what? Why Sakura seemed perfectly fine.
私を誰だと思っているの？黒煙卓第5位レオンハルト・アウグスト。獅子は炎のエレメント。
Right, maybe you're number 5, but you are not that powerful.
火の中で戦えないようで、そんな名前は名乗れない。無酸素での戦いくらいとっくに体得してるわよ。
I'm sorry, you are the same age as he is, so don't go that far.
でも、あなたはまだみたいね。やっと優越感が持てた。
No, you did not. Sakura lunged forward and swung, but I managed to jump back and dodge in time. But my throat was burning like hell. I couldn't fight like this.
行かせない。
Sakura predicted that I tried to break down the door. I blocked her diagonal slash, but it sent me flying away from the exit. Okay, I don't want to say, but there are a freaking lot of windows around, dude. The door was made of thick oak. It probably wouldn't burn down, so easily my path of retreat had essentially been cut off. First there was Wilhelm's dual layered knight, then Sakura threw in these canoes. With the cards coming against me, I couldn't manifest my full power. Well, you can try. You know, stopping time... Stopping time is what you can do. Sakura watched me struck with emotionless eyes.
こうやってみたら、あなた普通の人なのに。
Her face and voice were epitome of flat and dull. And boring.
こんな策とも言えないような手で簡単に追い詰められるなんて。
No light dwelt in her dark eyes.
ベイもマレウスも他の誰でもこれくらいで膝ついたりはしないわよ。
Well, yeah, you are all retards. That's what I say.
もう酸素なんか必要としてない。
Complete retards. She was whispering to herself.
弱いね藤井君。 日常の光がないと立てもしないなんて弱い。
Why did it sound like she was pitying me?
大したことないよ。劣等じゃない。
Well, you are. I don't like her anymore. She talked crap about me sounding like she was about to cry.
よろしてんじゃねえ。
I stood up with a roar and slashed at her. Sakura fell to block and was knocked to the other side of the room, moving down, burning pews in the process.
気色悪いんだよ。
Quit spouting off cliche lines while looking at me like a dead fish. Her problems were her own. I could sympathize, but I couldn't condone her actions. She would massacre innocence in exchange for her miracle. Everyone in this city, including us, would be slaughtered as sacrifices if she had her way. I couldn't allow for such utterly unbalanced skates to exist. Especially not when I was shoved on them myself.
立てよ。
I couldn't breathe, my body was numb. I knew the situation was getting more and more hopeless.
俺が嫌いなんだろ。俺もお前がムカつくよ。
Same! But I had no intention of playing along with her sob story. Stop trying to get me wrapped up in your own life's little scenario. I live in my own genre.
喧嘩なら買ってやる。らしくぶち切れてこいよ、桜井。お前の涙なんか気持ち悪い。
Same! Sakura staggered to her feet, staring at me with dull eyes. Then she opened her mouth.
かっこいいよね。
Not really.
いつも言ってることが強いよね。信じてるよね。
Yes,
自分の力を。
why not? No, that wasn't it. Even I said from time to time, and I already let many people die before my eyes. If I really was so great, I probably wouldn't have been stuck in this totally fucked up situation. I was well aware of my own powerlessness. That was why I struggled to my limits. So that I could protect those who could still be saved, those who I couldn't afford to lose.
失ってないからわからないのよ。
Yet she had deemed me as blissfully ignorant, implying I didn't understand shit.
もう兄さんはいなくなってしまった。
To blockade the corpse of a soldier, her brother, whose death opened the sixth swastika. Their family had been tied to the obsidian table by creating the replica of the holy dance. It was already too late to save them.
スワスチカに取り込まれたら、それはハイドリ秘境への生贄になる。返してくれるとは思えない。
He was already a fucking puppet! God damn it! Can you stop?
わからないけど、思いたいけど、もしかしたらまだ大丈夫って。そんな風に希望持ちたいけど、怖いよ。
There she goes. Sakura shivered. She held her head as for terrified. As for she was trying to erase the remnants of gold from her memory.
あの人怖いよ。
I'm not. She couldn't do it. Reinhard Heydrich chorus gripped her soul.
何よあれ、何なのよ。何人いるのよ。桁が違いすぎるよ。10万、100万、それ以上。あんな人が出てきたら、きっと全部飲み込まれちゃう。誰一人だって残らない。私は帰りたかったのに、また昔みたいなぬくもりが欲しかったのに。血の色は嫌い。火なんか見たくない。
Then why the fuck did you set everything on fire?
黄金の空はだけど戦争の色に染まっちゃう。そんな気がするのよ。怖いよ。
だったら
Then what the hell are you doing here?
なんでお前はあいつが戻ってくる手助けを未だにバカ面下げてやってんだよ。
If you're worried, if you're scared, if you fear the golden blessing, then...
そこ通せ桜井。尻目つってんじゃねえ。
だって
Sakura looked at me with fear in her eyes.
そんなことしたら私は裏切り者になってしまう。ハイドリ秘境にいらないって言われちゃう。
Wow, simply wow.
あの人の怒りを買う。敵じゃなくても部下じゃなくなってしまう。
So, what's so bad about that?
そんなの嫌だ。嫌だ、怖いよ。私はバラバラになってしまう。耐えられない。
Wow. Was that what they called the David's charisma? One look at Reinhardt had brought Sakurai under her spell. The other members of the Obsidian Table had likely been baptized in the same way. Those like Spinne, who spent 60 years churning with fear. Those like Wilhelm Rusalka, who had either overcome or grown numb to it.
メフィストフェレス。
The devil who granted Faust's wish in exchange for his soul.
ねえ、なんで平気なのよ。どうしてあれを見て戦おうとか思えるのよ。頭おかしいんじゃないの？普通じゃないよ。
Yeah! Her trembling voice was mixed with expression and discomfort. Her eyes looked at me like complete nut. A mass murderer like Sakurai of all people was calling me mad.
頭悪いのもいい加減にしろって言ったじゃない。
Should have said that to yourself. She told me that back when I saved her.
いつまでヒーロー気取ってるのよ。正気じゃないよ。
I'd want to hear that from someone playing the tragic heroine.
なんで逃げないのよ。
No reason.
何度も言わせるな。
I'd catch her cowardice if I kept playing along with this idle chatter.
取り落とさないためだ。
The more something is dear to you, the more impossible it is to get it back.
言ったろ。俺は生きてる奴のことを考える。奪われてたまるか。
I didn't want to get anything back.
奪わせない。落とさせない。そして何より壊させない。ラインハルトは怖いさ。
I didn't want to find him either.
だからあいつを出てこさせない。二度と顔を見ないで済むように、ここでスワスチカは打ち止めだ。大物気取ってふんぞり返ってたことを絶対後悔させてやる。
I'd know where he was, but he could stay and play with himself there. That was the kind of victory I could envision.
人を変人
Fine,
み
don't
たい
lie.
に言
I
う
don't
な
want
酒井
to.
お前の方がよっぽどいろいろダメだろう。もう一度言うぞ。ビビってるんならそこどけよ。邪魔するな。俺はその先にいようが。
As I spoke, I felt the lack of oxygen reach that level. Either way, there was no time left.
私がつまらないやつなのは知ってる。
Oh my god, there she goes again. The drama queen. But Sakurai did not move. As if saying she'd be bound to the obsidian table no matter where she went.
あなたに言わせれば落としてしまった人間だから。ええ、別に藤井君が間違ってないことも分かってるよ。本当に頭が悪いのは私だってことも。だけどさ。
But you still have to continue being dumb.
私いっぱい殺してきたんだもん。
And you want to spill more, huh? Sakurai's sword flared up again. The flames ignored the lack of oxygen in the room, defying physics as they wrapped around her sword.
相手は選んだよ。世界中を回ったし、日本じゃ考えられないような圧政、貧困、不正、虐待、鬼畜みたいな奴らばっかり殺してきた。子供を並べて射撃の的にしているような奴らとかをね。
Then what the fuck are you feeling bad about? Come on, seriously? Alright, that I really think is what you do. Basically what you did here was a good thing. If you choose the victims carefully and were basically pissed off corrupts, people like that, well, you just ranked up. Really? You really ranked up for me. Okay? Okay, Sakurai. Why do you feel freaking bad about that?
たまに感謝もされたし、だいたい怖がられたけど、私は私なりの信念を持って11年走った。それは嘘じゃないし軽くない。全力疾走だったから、ずっと昔に置いてきた分岐路になんかもう戻れない。私にこびりついてる返り血が重くて引き返すことはできない。
I still don't understand why you feel bad about that. You didn't kill anyone innocent there. In her words, she was saying she didn't feel like changing her stance at this point. Her words were but mere confirmation she was far too far gone.
私はバカなの。
Yeah, I knew that. マデリンリソ。
ハイドリ秘境は怖い。第8が開いたら何が起きるか。怖くてたまらない。だけどそれと同じくらいに私の逆恨みが消えないの。藤井君は悪くない。バカは私、愚かなのは私。分かってるのよ。
She seriously is like a drama queen. I mean, by that she's literally wanting to hear the words, "No, you're that." But I would say, yeah, you are. It's your fault. Kind of.
分かってるけど、だからごめんなさい、悪かったわって今さら言えるわけないでしょ。
Yes, you can.
あなたがいなければよかった。
Thanks. Her confused and directionless hatred took the form of flames, erupting like a volcano.
あなたがいるからいけないのよ。
No, it did not. Who was really responsible for all this?
なんであなたなんかがいるのよ。
I can't answer that.
私たちとあなたをぶつけて遊んでるカール・クラフトが憎い。
Carl is not so bad.
私たちの人生すべてを手のひらで踊らせてるメルクリウスが許せない。だからもうあなたに転嫁するしかないじゃない。
No, you don't have that alternative.
だってあなたは。
At that moment, Sakura kicked off the floor with a cry.
あなたは彼の代わりなんだもん。
Whoa, he caught it in his hand actually. She swung down from above with all her might. It was the miracle I managed to block it. For we were both being drained by the night blood-stained roses without an exclusion, I was the one on the verge of passing out. I could only keep bluffing for so long.
死んでよ。ねえ、お願い。死んでよ。
No! Her scarlet blade pushed my guard to its utmost limits. Normally I would bear her in terms of sheer strength in a sword lock, but at this rate I'd end up cleaved in two. I couldn't keep up my defense much longer. You just need to move to the side or something, man!
それができないなら殺してよ。ねえ、殺してみせてよ。あなた強いんでしょ。ヒーローなんでしょ。もう嫌なのよ。冗談じゃないのよ。早く終わって。お願いだから。私はもう1秒だってこんなものに触ってたくない。
I fell to my knees. The last bits of my strength left me.
弱いよ、藤井君。
There was no time to be humiliated. The truth of it all was that the situation was getting worse by the second.
この教会にいる中で私が一番弱いのに、そんなざまでベイとゲイカの相手なんかできるわけないよ。私が勝ったらハイドリ秘境が出てくるのよ。私は怖いからそれを止めようなんて考えられない。ねえ、いいの本当に終わっちゃうよ。ハイドリ秘境と大隊長3人誰も残してくれないよ。この世界終わっちゃうよ。きっと絶対 DS 入れが始まっちゃうんだから。
She was right. If I lose, everything was over. It was no joke or exaggeration to win a monster like Reinhardt. Hedrick was more than capable of that. I had to win. If I didn't, we were all dead. But damn it, what was I supposed to do?
早くしてよ。
The fuck are you talking about now? Sakura had already evolved into a rumbling wreck at this point, but she was still going at me full force, and I couldn't fight back in this state.
嘘つき。
Sakura said so in a low voice.
藤井君の嘘つき。壊させないって言ったのに。私を助けてくれないならいいよ、もういいから。
She mustered even more strength and...
全部終わっちゃえ。
Sakura brought out her trump card. Say what?
そのカムサリ玉石イザナミは
Say what? I knew what this was!
出雲の国と母木の国、その境なる火花の山に納め祭り機。
It was just like Rusalka's Nachtshel and Wilhelm's Night of Bloodstained Roses. An ultimate technique possessed by members of the Obsidian Round Table, a creation figment.
ここにイザナギの御事、見吐かせる戸塚の剣を抜きて、その子家具土の首を切り玉引き。
Come on, Ren, make out some words and you do that as well! Oh, come on, man! Just make out some German soundish words! If she released it, it was over. I couldn't let her do that. I didn't know what kind of creation being she had, but it would literally spell death for me in this state. I would lose. So my only option would be to master and unleash my own barrier right here, right now. But did I have enough time?
そうそう。
Come on, man! But then, just as before this case of lion death were about to turn against me, it happened. The barrier degree was about creating your own rules. Born from the most powerful witch heart into the Medusa soul, they bound and changed the world, giving birth to an alternate reality. His dream was to become a vampire, a bloodsucker of the night. He was born a cursed child who shunned the sun. He wished to become a demon that reigned supreme in the dark of night.
それがてめえの。
俺の世界だ。
At that exact moment, gouging dejection coupled with unbearable exhaustion trampled down Shiro's whole body. His blood, essence, soul, and everything else he needed to live was being sucked dry. The church's roof dried up instantly and cracked. The nearby trees wilted. The only vital feeling about the darkness around them was Wilhelm's hearty laughter.
骨まで抱いてやるぜ。一緒に行こうや。てめえの欲しいもんは見えたか。見えねえか。ほら、目ん玉しぼんできたぜ。気合い入れろ。俺の夜は破れねえ。ハイドリ卑怯と一つになって世界丸ごと枯れさせてやる。てめえも俺らと城で遊ぼうや。
His draining powers were far beyond what he displayed at school. Adding one layer of night onto another had boosted his abilities. He looked down the stone paving below to see her lying there, completely motionless. Whether she was dead or not, time was not on their side. This wasn't good, not at all. It was fortunate that there was much distance between him and Wilhelm, but Shiro couldn't move an inch, being nailed to the cross. Shiro resolved himself and tore off his mummifying arm. He was in luck with how brittle it gotten. Half the skin on his right shoulder broke off like sugar cubes. He wouldn't have been able to use that arm anyway. He kicked off the ground, intending to tear the rest of it and throw it away. The recall of the kick caused him to spin to the other side of the cross.
なんだよ、あいつれねえな。逃げ回んなよ。傷つくだろ。
It felt like even the air between the two was going to burst out screaming at any moment. The night of bloodstained roses was greedily sucking away the vibrancy of very existence. I love getting interrupted in the middle of recording, really. Anyway, first on starvation and insatiable lust. I hope that's the correct place where I freaking start now continuing the game. Strip Wilhelm down to his core, and that was all he was about.
吸血鬼が教会で生きがってんじゃねえよ。
Shiro was in the worst position possible, but it was also his big chance. His opponent had exposed his weak points, and now was time for Shiro to exploit them. However,
悪いけどな、ガキ。お前見えすいてんだわ。
Wilhelm casually snapped his fingers at that precise moment. Those of sticks suddenly sprouted out of thin air, and all around Shiro, and pierced him in an instant, turning him into a human pincushion. Say what? You've got to be kidding me.
ここは俺の国なんだぜ。言ってみりゃ腹ん中だ。
Well, he couldn't sprout stakes from his body when in Yetzirah, Beria was a different story. for the space around them itself was the manifestation of Vampire's Night.
距離は意味ねえ、視覚もねえ。俺の視界に入りゃ終わりだが、そこから逃げることもできねえよ。全部お見通しだ。さっきからてめえが狙ってることもよ。
Shiro kept on holding on to his gun, feeling like a harpooned shark. Wilhelm knew all too well what his plan was.
さっき弾倉変えたろ。俺が気づいてねえとでも思ってたのか？
Was it a cry of rage or despair? Either way, Shiro's secret strategy has been busted. He was positive Wilhelm hadn't seen him, so where had he learned of that fact?
おっと、そして空気の流れ。あとはてめえの持ち方だ。重さが変わってんのぐらい一目でわかる。勝負ありだな。経験の差だ。言っとくが、こりゃ特別なことじゃねえんだぜ。戦争やってりゃ誰でもそれくらいには敏感になる。まあ察するところ銀だろ。
Shiro was scared and drained. A hoarse, shaky voice emerged from his throat, possibly a death throw.
チェックしてたのかよ。臆病な野郎だ。
Wilhelm let out a dismissive snort.
まあ教師身にしちゃつまんねえな、おい。
His insight, no, vigilance, was a better way to put it, was not to be trifled with.
美学といえ。
That was what it meant to be a blood-sucking demon. They honed their strength to the monks precisely because they possessed tons of weak points.
デイウォーカーだのなんだのとエセ野郎どもがこねくり返したまがいもんじゃねえ。俺は本物だ。この世界でただ一人の真祖だ。一緒にするなよ。てめえらが都合よく妄想したフィルムのハったりなんぞとよ。不死者は死なねえ。夜の俺は殺せねえ。それつまり死なねえ術に長けてるっていうことだ。
That was also what it meant to be a soldier, to kill your opponents and survive. Being an expert of that skill was an absolute condition to being a war demon of the obsidian table. The ones that ultimately fell were half-assed and the unqualified weaklings, not like him. He'd keep on living regardless of the odds. A dark phoenix who existed eternally in this night, in this world. He would prove that fact and ascend to the Golden Castle for sure this time.
じゃあよ。そういうわけでお別れだ。
The stakes posed and expanded. Wilhelm could probably make Shiro's shriveled body burst into pieces with but a single thought. But a split moment before he could do so.
てめえの理屈には何も共感できねえが。
Shiro had been fatally wounded and stood at death's door, yet there was a smile on his lips.
一つだけわかることがある。
Limbs cracking apart, hair crumbling like sand. Yet he regarded the rose knight with fearless eyes, as if told him that he was the one who would die tonight.
敵とまともに戦おうとしねえこんなもんが英雄の条件なわけねえだろ。
He had been robbed of his essence. His body was as withered as a parched tree. That was the result of the power his opponent possessed. Those brutal acts were far removed from the fair and square tenets of chivalry.
てめえが城とやらに上がれねえのは。
It had nothing to do with how fucked up his bloodline was.
単にてめえが道ってやつを知らねえ畜生だからだ。
Those words struck deeper into Wilhelm's chest than anything else.
黙れよ。
He couldn't even rage.
抜かすんじゃねえ。
He knew he was strong. No one other than God could beat him.
てめえは死ぬんだ。
He would win. And then he would finally ascend to the castle.
てめえら吸い殺して俺はあの人の牙になるんだ。
A demonic roar sprouted in the darkness with a deafening bellow. Wilhelm's whole body turned to stakes, all pointing towards Shiro.
なあエリー、やっぱお前いい女だわ。
Faced with the berserk Kazikube, Shiro instead turned to the girl below and smiled. Back when he'd broken into the school, With Ren, she had sent Ellie on a absolutely vital errand. She went to go pick up an item in his place. And as the item was about to prove useful in the 11th hour.
ここでやり合うことにしたてめえがアホだ
A hand grenade slipped out of his pocket, the pin already removed. It rolled to the space between him and Wilhelm just before the explosion. The grenade detonated flames and shrapnel. In addition to silver, heat was another weakness of vampires. However, no matter how hard Shiro tried to play his weak points, Wilhelm couldn't be taken down with firepower alone. He broke through the flames, slowly approaching the battered Shiro. That sealed his fate.
理科実験程度のネタだぜ
Sucked dry by the night of blood-stained roses, the church's roof had reached its limit. It could withstand a grenade explosion in this state. First, a giant hole opened directly where Wilhelm took a step. And who else should be down there, in the chapel, if not... Kay hadn't seen it coming at all, Ran and even less so. The steel chapel they were fighting in literally erupted in the sky. Kay saw another web-breathed fire. The ensuing sword fight had set everything aflame. The clues and wall ornaments had already completely burned down, and this room that was now filled to the brim with combustible carbon monoxide had suddenly been connected to the outside. And so what would naturally follow next?
いわゆる
Yeah.
バックドラフトってな
A phenomenon where a sudden influx of oxygen causes fire to reanimate and explode. Of course, no matter how large it was, mere fire could not fatigue wound Ren or Kay, however. But he was an exception. Fire was among vampires' greatest weaknesses. Swallowed up by the exploding burst of flames below him, Wilhelm suffered nearly fatal damage in but a single second. But he nonetheless approached Shiro with fierce tenacity. For the majority of his body had been reduced to cinders, Wilhelm's bloodlust was as fierce as ever.
この
What's more, there was no doubt that the explosion had wounded Shiro far worse than Wilhelm. For he avoided a direct hit, he was still made of flesh and blood. Shiro had taken about 60% of damage, while Wilhelm took 40.
つけんだよ
He had to quickly finish the demon off, or that was it. He forced his crumbly left hand to rise, firing a silver bullet for a killing blow. He dodged the bullet yet didn't. It both missed him and didn't at the same time. The bullet had been aimed for his head, but thanks to the gun's wave, Shiro's aim was off. However, it still hit Wilhelm right in the chest, for he managed to deflate his muscle before it reached his heart.
てめえの負けだ
It was nigh unbelievable how tenacious and bad at giving up those two were. On the last pain alone, they were worthy of being labeled champions.
俺に勝てるのはあの人だけだレン以外に俺が負けるか
For the two of them believed in different people, they let out identical roars, clashing fiercely. They fell from the blazing church roof. Death would greet them seconds later. Wilhelm's side, Shiro would be beyond help once he crashed to the stone pavement. If whoever died first was to be defined the loser, then the scales of victory were currently waving right in Wilhelm's favor. But there was a definitive difference between the two of them. One of them had a goddess of victory. Someone like Wilhelm, who had been abandoned by everything, would never have a deity smile upon him. And with that, the outcome was set.
くたばれバンビー地獄でジークハイル歌ってろ
The church's cross broke and fell along with them. Shiro used it as a stake to pierce Wilhelm's heart. It went without saying crosses were even more fatal vampires than fire. No matter how immortal he claimed he was, he could never shrug off an attack like this. So long as he was a blood-sucking demon, the only one in the world, as he so proudly stated, he couldn't escape from the absolute principle demons of the night could not oppose holy objects. The demon of the roses glared at Shiro just before crumbling into dust.
やるっちゃねえかよ
he felt a faint sense of release amid zigzagging, melting the seventh swastika. Suddenly, and I do mean suddenly, the ceiling above us exploded. I glimpsed the crimson full moon shining deep in the night sky right through the newly opened hole when there was another explosion, much bigger and louder than before. It reached all the way to us, knocking Sakurai and me into the air. But I didn't have time to contemplate what had happened. My consciousness still dizzy from the aftershock, I glanced around for Sakurai. I saw a black SS uniform in the corner of my eye, still airborne. Got her. I grabbed her sleeve and dragged her close to me.
勝負ありだ、桜井
I held her to the floor, successfully rendering her powerless. She had dropped her knife during the explosion. That pounding is weird, in that position, dude. Now that I could breathe again, I felt dizzy, but I could put up with it. We were still surrounded by a sea of flames, but it seemed like the explosion had blown the chapel's roof and afterwards to smithereens. There still wasn't much oxygen for comfort, but at least there was some.
運がいいのね。
Sakurai looked up at me and spoke up in a quiet voice.
さすがヒーロー。都合がいいよ。
まあ、なあ。
That explosion had probably been a backdraft. Once that hole in the ceiling opened up into this oxygenless room, it turned every simmering flame in the room into a damn pillar of fire. She was probably the one who caused it. He was sharp, so he probably predicted that this chapel would be on fire. And the explosion of the fire was undoubtedly a major weakness of vampires. Jesus, that dumbbells was a real piece of work.
友情パワー。いいね。私に友達なんかいない。
Okay, now that you are not in the drama queen version, don't you already have friends?
それも含めて藤井君の強さか。うん。私の乾杯だよ。どうしたの？殺して。
You should smack her freaking in the forehead, with a finger thing, for blurting nonsense.
俺は
I should kill her. I didn't indeed come here prepared to do exactly that, and I was still up for just a short while ago. But
やっと終われる。望んだ形じゃないけれど、これも別に悪くないよ。
could I kill someone making that face? No.
やっと私も兄さんたちのところに行ける。
Was it really okay to kill her? Could I live with such a date?
藤井君ならきっと芸家にも勝てるよ。私たちの代わりに彼を倒して。
どういう
逆恨みよ。私はいつもそう。彼のせいで私の大事な人たちはいなくなった。そんな風に思うよう、もしかしたら誘導されていたかもしれない。本当のことから目をそらさせるために。私はバカなの。綾瀬さんよりずっと頭悪いのよ。彼女みたいに強く立ち向かえる勇気なんてない。現状から目をそらさず、楽な方に逃げず、真実の元凶に挑む。いいね。すごいね。眩しいよ。私じゃ勝てない。私じゃ届かない。私は何がしたかったんだろう。本当に大事なものはなくしたら戻らないのに。
Tears welled up in Sakura's eyes. Her voice trembled, but her tone remained clear, her speech swift.
いっぱい殺したし、いっぱい切った。殺してもいい人、死ぬべきだと思う人、そんな 自分でゴミだと思うようなものを集めて宝石と交換なんて
Also
ありえ
true.
ない。地球とだって釣り合わないのに。好きな人たちの命を侮辱しちゃった。ごめんなさい兄さん、ベアトリス。私はバカなの。算数もわからないのよ。
Say what?
綾瀬さんに英語教えてって言われたけどできない。だって私の方がバカなんだもん。
だったら
I was in my office before I realized what I was doing.
あいつに九九でも教えてもらえよ。きっと尻尾振って喜ぶぞ。
Yeah, didn't see that coming, huh?
だから
What was I trying to say? I didn't know. My mouth just kept moving on its own.
友達いないんだろ。あんなんでよければなってもらえ。つまりなんていうかあれだ。
I clicked my tongue irritated by my own lack of communication skills and continued.
桜井圭は死んだ。
At the very least, the charmless bitch I knew wasn't here anymore. Not like I found her cute now or anything.
死んだから俺はもう行く。あとは腐るなり生き返るなり好きにしろよ。お前んちのお家芸なんだろそれ。
私
うるさい、もう喋るな。お前の話聞いてるといつもろくなことにならない。
私はでも
俺が勝つって思うなら信じてろ。ラインハルトなんか意地でも呼び出させねえよ。じゃあな。
I stood up with those words and suddenly remembered there was something gravely serious I had to tell her.
さっきお前を捕まえた時思いっきり胸触っちまったけど不可抗力だからな。絶対霞に言うなよ。約束だぞ。
You are the champion, man. She didn't notice. Anyway, I said what I needed, so I got up and left her behind. The chapel might have been blown apart, but I didn't know if that could be said for the rest of the church. I was also worried about Shiro's safety, for I sensed the 7th swastika being open, and since the knife of bloodstained Rose's hand also disappeared at the same time, I guessed Wilhelm had to be dead. So I had to go after Father Trifa as soon as possible. If he got away, there'd be no stopping the opening of the 8th. And as I left, please get on our side, Kay. I heard Sakurai crying like a newborn baby behind my back. If life started with a cry, perhaps it wouldn't be too much to ask if it would end with a smile.
思うんだけどさ、
The girl crouched down next to her partner, addressing him in a quiet voice.
前にも言ったけど、銀の弾丸って狼男じゃん。吸血鬼は確かに狼に変身するけど、違うよね。
There was no answer.
吸血鬼はさ、白木の杭だと思うわけよ。まあ、実際聞いちゃってるんだから、こんな話しても意味ないんだけどさ。
Ellie gave a wry smile and looked at Shiro, who'd been absent-mindedly staring up into the night sky.
ま、十字架が効いたってことかもしんないね。バカのトンチには恐れいるよ。
The usual backfire she'd come to expect to follow her insults never came.
一応用意はしてきてたんだよ。杭。まあ、
Shiro's eyes were faintly open. Ellie was about to wave her hand in front of them, but stopped herself short.
バカだな。
The spreading pool of blood reached up to her shoes.
何笑ってんのさ。
Ellie ran her fingers across her face to check her own expression.
あったじゃんこれも。あんたが相打ちになるのだってデジャブのうちだよ。
Her front bangs got into her eyes. The scent of blood filled her lungs.
全然解けないよ。勝手に退場して。あんたこれただの負け犬じゃんか。
She felt around her eyes, but the tears she expected to feel weren't there.
ひどい女。
Her mouth twisted in a faint smile, for knowledge painted the image of everything that had happened crystal clear in her mind.
そっか。ここのスワスチカも開いちゃったからか。
She didn't quite understand how it worked, but it seemed like her sense of déjà vu had gotten stronger with the opening of each subsequent swastika.
きっとこれからずーっと面白いことなんか全然ないのかもしれないけど。
Ellie took a cigarette out of her pocket. She put it into her lips, lit it, and stuck it in between her frozen smile.
いつか抜け出してやるよ。そうすれば次はもうちょっと面白くなってるでしょ。
The smoke rose into the night sky.
なんだか。
It's like the fumes of incense, isn't it? Ellie watched the cigarette smoke rise with that thought in mind. She didn't feel much despair at all, just a slight sense that she'd failed, that was all. It was just the way things were for them. For considering the whole picture, she did learn something new today. With the opening of the 7th swastika, the sensation of foreknowledge had only grown stronger. And a certain few would most definitely be thoroughly relieved by the truth that implied. After all, one's failure was another success.
今何か
Alright, before we move to that scene, to that stage, and probably fight with Trifa, hopefully, and kick his ass really badly because he deserves that in some way, let's end the episode. Very long one. For now, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.